I still remember the day it all began, and trust me, it's burned into my memory forever. It started with a laugh that wasn't friendly or light-hearted, but sharp, mocking, and filled with arrogance. That laugh came from my neighbor, the woman everyone in our community secretly called Karen. She was one of those people who believed she was the queen of the neighborhood. You know the type, the one who hides behind the Homeowners Association rules like they're royal laws written just for her to enforce. To Karen, those rules weren't guidelines, they were weapons. And the day she mocked my roof, she pointed that weapon straight at me. Now, before I dive into the mess, let me set the scene for you. I had just bought my first home in this quiet neighborhood. For me, it wasn't just a house, it was a dream. I had worked late nights, saved every penny, and sacrificed vacations, dinners out, and even weekends with friends. When I signed those papers, I didn't just buy a property. I bought freedom, stability, and a place where my family could grow. But, as life loves to remind us, dreams attract envy. And in my case, that envy had a name: Karen. From the moment I moved in, Karen treated me like an outsider. At first, I thought maybe it was just me being sensitive, but I soon learned that everyone had a Karen story. She was the type of person who would complain about the color of your mailbox, the length of your grass, or even the sound of your kids laughing too loudly in the backyard. But when it came to me, she took her obsession to a whole new level. One Saturday morning, I was outside cleaning up my yard when she strutted over in her usual way, chin high, sunglasses on, holding a clipboard as if she was inspecting soldiers before battle. She looked up at my roof, then at me, and suddenly burst out laughing. "Wow," she said, smirking. "That's the ugliest roof I've ever seen in this neighborhood. I can't believe you'd live with something that cheap-looking." Her words hit like a slap. My roof wasn't ugly, it was practical. It wasn't brand new, but it was solid and kept my family safe. But to her, anything that didn't sparkle like it belonged in a luxury magazine wasn't good enough. And in that moment, I felt the humiliation boiling in my chest. It wasn't just her words. It was her tone. That mocking, sharp laugh that made it feel like she wasn't just insulting my house, she was insulting me. Here's the thing about people like Karen. They think they can get away with anything because they hide behind fake authority. She knew the HOA had strict guidelines, and she knew how to twist them. Within days, I received a formal notice from the HOA saying my roof was not in compliance with neighborhood standards. And I knew exactly who had filed that complaint. I could almost hear her smug voice when I read the letter. Ugliest roof in the neighborhood. Now, let me be real with you. At first, I thought about ignoring it. But then I realized, ignoring people like Karen only makes them louder. And this wasn't just about a roof anymore. It was about dignity. It was about standing up for myself and for anyone who had ever been bullied by someone who thought they were better than everyone else. I called the roofing company that had originally inspected the house. They told me my roof was completely fine. Sure, it wasn't brand new, but it met every standard, and replacing it wasn't necessary at all. That gave me some relief, but Karen wasn't done. A week later, she marched right up to me while I was unloading groceries. "You better get that roof fixed," she said, "or I'll make sure the fines start stacking up." And trust me, they will stack up. Her voice was dripping with pride, like she enjoyed watching people squirm. That night, I sat at my kitchen table staring at the notice again, my frustration turning into something else: determination. I wasn't about to let her control my life. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, this wasn't about a roof. It was about control. Karen didn't just want me to replace my roof. She wanted me to bow down, admit defeat, and follow her like everyone else. But I wasn't everyone else. I decided to fight back, but not in the way she expected. Most people, when attacked by someone like Karen, either cave in or argue endlessly until they're drained. But I had a different idea. I started researching roofing companies, not just for repairs, but for something bigger. You see, Karen's whole power over me came from the roof. So, what if I turned that roof into my weapon? The thought kept me awake at night. I imagined the look on her face if I turned the tables completely. And slowly, a plan started forming, a plan so bold that it even scared me a little. But here's the twist. Before I reveal how I pulled it off, let me share what kept me going. It wasn't revenge alone. It was the principle. People like Karen thrive because most folks are too tired, too busy, or too scared to stand up. But every bully needs someone to push back. And in that moment, I realized that person had to be me. So, I started digging. I spent hours looking into roofing companies in the area. And what I found shocked me. One of the local roofing companies, the very same company Karen used to brag about using for her own house, was struggling financially. They had good workers, but poor management. Their reviews were slipping, and they were desperate for new leadership. That's when the wild idea hit me. What if I didn't just fix my roof? What if I bought the roofing company Karen depended on? The thought made my heart race. It sounded insane. Me, the guy who just bought his first house, becoming the owner of a roofing company. But the more I thought about it, the more it felt right. This wasn't just a way to protect myself. This was a way to make sure Karen's power trip ended, once and for all. The next few weeks were a blur. I met with the owners, negotiated, and to my surprise, they were open. They wanted out. They were tired, and they needed someone with fresh energy to take over. I wasn't rich, but I had enough savings and connections to make a deal. It wasn't easy, and there were nights I questioned myself, wondering if I was crazy. But then I remembered Karen's laugh. That cruel, mocking laugh. And every time I thought about giving up, I heard it again, and it fueled me. Finally, the papers were signed. The company was mine. I can't describe the rush I felt that day. It wasn't just about owning a business, it was about reclaiming my dignity. Now, imagine this. Karen, the same woman who mocked my roof, now had to call me whenever she needed roofing services. The irony was so delicious I could almost taste it. But the story doesn't end there, because what happened next took things to a whole new level. Owning that roofing company felt like holding a secret weapon. At first, I didn't even tell anyone. Not my neighbors, not the HOA, not even Karen. I just quietly stepped into this new role, learning the ropes, meeting the workers, and figuring out how things really operated. And let me tell you, running a roofing company is no joke. It's hard work, long hours, and endless details. But with every late night, every tired morning, and every phone call I made, I kept imagining the day when Karen would realize who was in charge. It was only a matter of time before she gave me the perfect opportunity. One afternoon, I was at the office going over schedules when the receptionist answered a call. She covered the receiver with her hand and whispered, "It's a woman named Karen. She says it's urgent." I nearly laughed out loud. The universe couldn't have timed it better. I nodded. "Put her through." The moment her voice hit the line, it was unmistakable. Sharp, impatient, and full of that same arrogance she carried everywhere. "Yes, hi," she said. "I need someone to come out immediately. There's a leak in my roof, and I can't live like this another day. Send your best crew. Money isn't a problem, but I want it done fast." I leaned back in my chair, smiling. She had no idea who she was talking to. "Of course," I said calmly. "We'll take care of it." And in that moment, I felt something shift. This wasn't just about business anymore. This was about justice. The crew showed up at her house the next morning. And guess what? She treated them exactly the way she treated everyone else, bossy, demanding, and rude. She stood there in her robe, barking orders like she was some kind of queen. But here's the beauty of it. My team was loyal to me. They knew who the new owner was. And when they called me later to report back, their voices were full of laughter. "You're not going to believe this," one of them said. "Karen has no clue. She keeps bragging about how she always uses our company. If only she knew you're the boss now." I grinned. "Don't worry. She'll find out soon enough." A week later, I got the golden chance to face her directly. She had come down to the roofing office to complain about a bill. Typical Karen move. She stormed through the doors, sunglasses on, waving a piece of paper in the air. "This is outrageous," she barked. "I demand to speak to the owner." The receptionist didn't even flinch. She simply looked over at me. "The owner will see you now." Karen spun around, confusion flashing across her face. And then she saw me. I'll never forget that moment. Her jaw literally dropped. Her eyes widened, And for the first time since I'd known her, she didn't have anything to say. She just stood there, frozen. "Hello, Karen," I said, keeping my voice calm but steady. "I hear you have a problem with your roof bill. Let's talk about it." The silence that followed was delicious. For once, she wasn't in control. She finally stammered, "Wait, you're the owner? How is that possible?" I leaned forward and smiled. "Oh, it's very possible. Remember when you mocked my roof? When you laughed at me and said it was the ugliest in the neighborhood? Well, I took your advice seriously. I got into roofing. And now, Karen, when you need your roof fixed, you have to come to me." Her face turned red. She opened her mouth to argue, but no words came out. She looked like a balloon deflating right in front of me. Now, don't get me wrong. This wasn't about humiliating her for the sake of it. It was about showing her, and everyone else, that no one has the right to treat people like dirt and get away with it forever. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't mock her back. I just sat there, calm, collected, and in control. And the more polite I was, the more uncomfortable she became. In the end, she paid her bill quietly. No yelling, no insults, no power games. Just silence. And that silence, that was my victory. But the story doesn't end there. Word spread quickly around the neighborhood. People started whispering about how Karen had to answer to me now. Neighbors who had once been victims of her complaints came over to congratulate me. Some even joked that I was the hero of the block. I'll admit, it felt good. Not because I wanted fame or attention, but because justice had finally been served. For years, Karen had used her HOA status to bully people, and now she was the one stuck swallowing her pride. Here's the funny part. After that day, Karen completely changed how she treated me. No more mocking. No more threats. She'd wave politely if she saw me outside, her smile tight and forced. It was clear she hated every second of it, but she knew she couldn't touch me anymore. And that, my friends, is the sweetest kind of victory. Not revenge born out of cruelty, but victory born out of strength, patience, and persistence. When I look back on it now, I realize something important. The roof wasn't the real issue. The roof was just the spark. The real battle was about respect. Karen thought she could control me, but in the end, she only fueled my rise. Sometimes life works in strange ways. Sometimes the very insult that's meant to tear you down ends up being the fire that lifts you higher than you ever imagined. So, what's the lesson here? It's simple. Don't let people like Karen define you. Don't let their laughter, their arrogance, or their small-minded rules crush your spirit. When they mock you, use it as fuel. When they doubt you, let it push you forward. And when they try to control you, rise so high they can't reach you anymore. Final CTA. If you've ever been laughed at or underestimated, remember this: your story isn't over. You have the power to turn every insult into inspiration and every setback into strength. My neighbor mocked my roof, but I built something much bigger. I built a life where no one like her could ever laugh at me again. And you can do the same. So, what's mocking you right now? What's holding you back? Take that thing, grab it by the horns, and turn it into your greatest victory. Because trust me, nothing feels better than watching the people who doubted you realize you won.